Alright, so my setup's a bit different than usual. I actually put my stuff on pillows this time. Um, so now I'm a bit higher, a little bit more even. Here I am again on my gross Mondays, where I have a long weekend and I showered sometime on Sunday. So then I'm like, yeah, well, I showered late enough yesterday that I don't have to shower on Monday. But my bangs are gross, so I usually just braid them back like this. Or I pin them back, and then my hair's in a braid over here. My clothes always, I just feel gross. My skin's oily. Happy Mondays, guys! um, so this week we're supposed to be talking. We decided earlier today to talk about our jobs. Um, right now I have two jobs, and I don't want to be in either one of those. I don't want to end up in either one of those. Um, let's start with the school. I get up every morning at I used to get up at 5:30. I don't usually get out of bed until like 6:15 anymore, which is bad. I usually cram in some breakfast or take it with me. Most mornings I try to shower. Sometimes I shower at night because I don't in the morning because I'm gross. Uh, and then I get to school. It's supposed to be at 7:30. Sometimes I'm a little late. I go in to the classroom. I unlock the door because Miss Marquez is always late. I take down all the chairs off the tables that we'd cleaned the day before, and I clean the board and get it set up for calendar, and then I turn on the computers and get it onto the website called Starfall that we use. Usually sit down and read a book for a while, or I chat with you girls, whoever's up in the morning, or eat breakfast if I take it with me. And then I have to take the lunch crates down. It's just like milk crates that we have, and the lunch lady she like takes the hot lunches and puts them into the crates, and then she has some 7th or 8th grader bring the crates to us, and we eat lunch in the classroom later. So I gotta take those down to her. 8 o'clock the bell rings, and I stand in the hallway and yell at the kids every morning, "Don't run in the hallway!" The same kids usually come in the morning. They go to morning care, where their parents go to work so early that they get dropped off with Miss Carmen, and they hang out there until 8 o'clock and the bell rings. Miss Marquez usually comes in and gets her coffee cup, and then goes and gets coffee down with Miss Carmen. So she's not there for like the first 10 or 15 minutes of the day, which kind of sucks because then I have to answer all the questions with the parents and collect all the notes and everything. I say hi to the kids, I help them put their stuff away, and then, when Miss Marquez comes back, I usually sit down with one of the kids and we play a game, or they come tell me their stories, which is kind of nice. Around 8:30, I usually take a group of them to the bathroom. 9 o'clock rolls around and we take them to a specialty class. Mondays it was the library, Tuesday was gym, Wednesday is music, Thursday is computer class, and then Friday, every other Friday, was gym. Our gym teacher slash Spanish teacher actually left about 2 months ago to do student teaching. He wanted to be a high school Spanish teacher. And the principal of our school knew that from the beginning of the year that he'd have to do that. And he didn't get anyone to substitute teach. So then he's been getting random substitutes to cover gym, and it's been really weird. And we haven't had gym half the time, so the kids are like full of energy and know where to put it. We come back at like 9:30 or 9:35, and then sometimes I take them to the bathroom if they haven't gone yet. Miss Marquez is down with Miss Carmen yet again, getting coffee and talking. She used to not come in until like 10, and then but she comes in a little bit earlier now. 10 o'clock, we start cleaning up. We take the kids to the bathroom if we haven't yet, and then we eat snack. I open juices and the kids pass them out, or they pass out cups and I pour in milk. What else? After that, they go to they go into our little classroom library and get a book and they read while I clean the tables, and I get on my phone at that time. I used to not get on my phone at all, but then most recently, like the past month or so, I just started not caring, and she doesn't say anything to me. So I just get on my phone and check Twitter, or I talk to you girls or whatever. And then we do circle time, and I usually go make copies during circle time of a letter of the week, or the whole alphabet. Then from there, they do their work, and I yell at them if they do it wrong, or help them if they do it wrong. If they're too sloppy, I make them do it again, because I know a lot of these kids know better. They're just rushing through. And then I help them with their name. We started off writing their name in yellow marker, and then they would trace it. Now most of them know how to write their name, and we help them like with their last name, and some of them are even doing their middle names. See, I say a lot too, Samantha. It's okay. And then I'm like, and, because I lose my train of thought. I don't really plan out my videos because I never really know what we're going to do until the day, and then I have after school, and then I get home at like 5. I'm like, shit, I have to do a video. Fuck. So we do circle time, I do copies, they do their work, I help them with their name, and then after that we let them play, we have the big Lego blocks. Sorry, we let them play with that. My nose has been really itchy, I think it's the change of seasons. Fuck. From there, we either go downstairs and play in the lower gym for a while, or we go outside on the playground when it's not cold or wet or muddy. We let them go play for a while. We bring them in, take them to the bathroom, give them lunch. We open their lunches for them. They eat from what's supposed to be 12:05 to like, 12:45 maybe, but we usually eat around 12:30 until like 1:30. Some kids don't even nap. They just sit there with food in front of them. Some of them I'm like, yeah, you need to eat. You haven't eaten anything. And then some kids just talk too much and play around too much. So we open their milks, and I give them each a milk. Certain ones get chocolate, certain ones get white. And then we lay out the cots. And it's a big old stack. It's like as tall as me, of 20 cots. And we lay one out for each of the kids. They all have their own bedding. And then they nap. I clean the tables. I sweep the floor, I collect the garbage and put it in our big trash can, and then I take kids to the bathroom that have to go, and then I go to the bathroom, and then from there it's usually time to wake the kids up, so I usually rarely get any time to sit down. Is another form of We wake the kids up at about 2:15. We get their backpacks on, put their lunch boxes in their backpacks if they brought a lunch. We get their coats on when it's cold, which was fun during the winter, putting a jacket and then a coat and then a scarf and then mittens and a hat and a backpack on half the kids. And then we walk them out to the front and hand them off to their parents or aunts or uncles or cousins or sisters or whoever comes to pick them up. And then on Mondays and Fridays, I was assigned to do after school. So all the kids whose parents don't pick them up right at 2:30 go into the line in the hallway to go to the lower gym. And it's just the 3 preschools and then 2 kindergartens. We would take those kids down with us. Most days there'd be probably about 30, maybe more kids, and there'd be 2 adults. And a form of fuck. From there, we take them downstairs and they just run around and play. Some kids bring a DS, some kids color, they eat snack, watch a movie, whatever. It was worse last year than this year. This year hasn't been too bad, and we're supposed to stay until 4:30, and our helper stays until supposed to be 3:30, possibly later. If there's more than 15 kids, the other person usually stays. So Monday and Friday I would stay until 4:30, even though I was the helper on Monday. And then from there, around 4:15, we get the kids all packed up and everything, and I take them upstairs, the kids whoever are left. I take them upstairs to Miss Carmen, who keeps them until 6, which is the latest we stay open for after school kids. So parents come and pick them up, and they go upstairs with the rest of the grades. And then I come home, or sometimes I go to my second job, which I've had since the beginning of December now. is Staples. So if I go straight to Staples, if I leave, I clock out at 3 at the school, then I go to my second job, Staples. Usually if I have to clock in at 4 there, it takes me a little over a half hour to get there with traffic around that time. So I change and I clock out a little after 3 at the school. And sometimes I go and get Subway, which is right around the corner, and I eat a sandwich on the way. Or I pack a PB&J and a banana or something. And I get on the expressway and I get stuck in really slow traffic for about half the way. And the rest of the way I get to go around 65. Even though the speed limit's 55, I go 65 because I hate going slow. And I get to work at Staples. I go in my black pants and a tank top now that it's warmer. So then I put on my Staples shirt and I go pee and whatever and get ready for the day. Then I go in to copy and print center most days. And it's not the same thing every day. It's not a routine. So what I do in copy and print, I make black and white copies for people. I do color copies for people. And then specialty stuff that we do is like we do binding, like we can do a spiral bind or a comb bind. Or what else do we do? We can do oversized prints. We've been doing a lot of blueprints lately. We can do folding. There's a folding machine that can actually fold the pamphlets in half or in thirds or whatever, which is pretty nice because that takes the pressure off of us. We have an oversized color printer where if I wanted to pay $48, $50, I could print a giant picture of Ritas. It's actually $41.99 for a 24 by 36 color print on photo paper. And if it's not copywritten, then we'll print it. If it's copywritten, you need permission from the owner of the copyright to make copies of it. We do giant signs. We have a giant cutter, which I hate most days because it doesn't cut straight. We have a cutter that's huge. You can take a whole stack of paper and stick it in and it'll cut straight down most days. I don't like to put a lot in there because sometimes it cuts cockeyed. We do lamination. We can do oversized lamination with a roll where it rolls through. We can do up to 24 inches wide. We have the little pouch laminator where it's a machine and then you put, the lamination opens, you put it in the middle and close it and then run it through. We have that. We have a fax machine, which rarely works. What else do we have? When I print, I can do 3-hole punches or staple, front and back. I know how to work Publisher, Microsoft Publisher, which I learned just from working at Staples. So I help people design business cards or I do stuff on my own. I also know how to do Photoshop, so I've fixed orders before in Photoshop. We have our own special Staples system. We make business cards and postcards, which we have a cutter for, which is nice. We have our system. You can order a bunch of stuff third party, meaning like you can order it from somewhere else and they'll ship it in. Like you can get coffee mugs or t-shirts or pens or merchandise, water bottles, a bunch of stuff. And our system in store we can do like letterhead, we can do business cards, postcards like I said. We can do some other stuff. Specialty stuff. If you want to know more, you can go to print.staples.com and everything's right there for you. I like the people I work with there more so than I do at my other job, or that I have, I think, really in any job. I get along with everybody, and the other night one of them was telling me that was weird for some reason. I think he saw my heart tattoo. He's like, "Do you just have a heart?" I was like, "Yeah, why?" And he's like, "That's weird." I was like, "Why is it weird?" He's like, "You're weird." He was just playing around with me, it was whatever. And I realized that I fit in there because everyone's kind of like, we're like the island of misfit toys, almost. Like everyone's kind of weird and probably not socially accepted everywhere. And it's really not, because we all just kind of get along for the most part. And it's really nice. I think that's why I like it there. We're just the misfit toys, as I will keep referring to us. When I work in office supply, it's really easy. I just have to kind of know where stuff is and help customers out. You get some bitchy customers. I was told I was worthless once. That was fun, just because we didn't have a certain kind of pen, and I explained them the best way that I could why we didn't carry a specific pen. And they told me I was worthless because I couldn't get them the pen that they wanted. That's customer service for you. Um, why do I say so much? It's a filler, and I wish someone would have stopped me when I was little from doing that. I should have taken more speech classes. I'm hoping that reading the book, which I will do and also upload a video, will help me stop my help me with my speech, because I kind of stumble on my words sometimes. It takes me a little bit to figure out what I'm thinking. That's why I say so much, I believe. Trying to figure out what I'm saying, and if I try to talk too fast or there's too much that I want to say, I stumble on my words a lot, and I get lost, and I feel kind of like an idiot when I'm talking to people because I stumble on my words. So anyway, when I work office supplies, I shoot a pull list. Like, we have little, we call them guns, RF guns. I don't know what it means, but I can scan a SKU, like the little barcode, and it'll tell me how many we have in the store. And if it says we have 10, I can put 10, and then I have to go find the product in the store. So I scanned all of office supplies, just like pens and notebooks and binders and clipboards and filing and post-its and mailing stuff, and what else is there? There's a bunch of shit. Tape and tacks and anything you can find in an office supply store. So I go through all the aisles and I scan all the holes, like all the empty pegs, and then I make a pull list, and when I'm done, all the stuff that has items in the top stocks, the mid stocks. Top stocks are boxes where we put the item number on the front so that we know where or what the number is or what the product is. And mid stocks is stuff that we've taken out of boxes, but all the product won't fit onto the shelves, so then we put it in mid stocks, just like random pens or notebooks that don't fit in boxes and stuff like that. So I go through there in the aisles, because the item's supposed to be like close in the aisle to where the product is on the floor, and I have to go through and find everything. If I don't find it, I have to minus it out, which means that they take it out of our system that we have it. Usually if it's like 12 or 10 or 24 or something like that, it means it's in a box somewhere and we've just mislocated the box. My roommate came home and my door wasn't closed all the way, so I didn't want to hear him talking to a computer because that's kind of weird. So then I have to find the product, and from there I either put it into the spot where it belongs, or I minus it out, or it takes it out of the system. I already said that. Or it takes it out of the system, and then I have to face the store, which means like I pull product forward or make sure like I put stuff back where it goes, where customers have just thrown it. I have to do go backs or reshops, all the stuff that people take to the front and say, oh, I don't want this anymore. I get to put that back out onto the floor. At the Tuesday nights we have truck where all of our product is delivered, and my manager or one of the office supply people during the day, they sort it out after the truck gets there, and we have carts that go in like specific aisles, and we have to put all the stuff out. And then we have U-boats, which is just like a flat and then like a handle that's a U where you can pull everything. I'm sure you guys have seen them around. We take the boxes, and if we don't know what the product is from the little tag on the outside, we open it and see what's inside. And we put that on top, put it out on the floor if we can. If not, we put it up on top stocks and write the item number on it. I should just have a list of what I'm going to say. It would make my life easier. We do truck until about 8 o'clock. The store closes at 9. So then what we do from there is we stop truck, and then we do the pull list, and then we do the closing stuff, which is, doing the reshops, and then we make sure everything's faced. And then I lost my train of thought. We help the front end, we take back trash, we clean up what we can, and since I do cash office, which is another part of my job which I didn't talk about. Cash office is where the safe is and where all the money gets processed and where we keep all that stuff. So we have three sets of bags of four, because we have four registers. And every day we close the store, we count down the tills, which is the money inside, and then we put it in the bag and it gets counted and put into the deposit the next day. When I do the deposit, I go in and I count the safe to make sure that the right amount of money is there. I count the change, I count the bills, everything. And then I go in and the computer tells me how many checks are in the bag, how many credit cards have been wrong, how much cash we have, how much, whatever we should have. So when I go through and I punch in the checks and like the return slips, when people return something, I have to put in like, cash refund, where the money's not counted for in the drawer because we gave it to somebody else because they did a return. Voids, I have to put all this stuff into the computer. And then once everything's put in, I put in the cash amount. And then from there, the bag has to equal $100 to go out for the next day. So then anything that's over 100, I get to count out and put in the deposit. And I do that 4 times for each bag. And then once everything's even, I make change. You put 110, you put 6 fives, and then you put like 25 to 30 ones. You have the change that's accounted for, and then you put like quarter rolls and just the rolls of change to equal $100, which is organization, which I love. So then once all 4 bags are counted, you put them all back in the safe, and then you have your deposit, which is the money that you've pulled out to make your bags even. And you go through the system, and it tells you how much you should have, and your deposit should be equal. And so I count the deposit, I do a deposit slip, I do one for checks and one for cash. And then I put it in the bag, and I count down the safe again to make sure that all the money's in the right place, that it's even, it all comes out to what it was before. And then the manager comes in and counts the deposit, and we slip it into the safe, close the safe, and cash office is done. It takes about 30 to 40 minutes, depending on if someone had counted the drawer the night before. When we do closing, if I'm there, the managers usually have me close down the drawers, since I do cash office, what I just explained really quickly, or what I thought was quick. They close down the drawer, and I take the till total, which tells you how much money should be in the drawer. And I count down the drawers and put it all in the bag for the next day. From there, it's pretty much just vacuuming, taking the trash back if I'm doing copy and print, and making sure that all the people, that's what I do in copy and print. By the end of the night, I gotta make sure all the customers are called, so they know that their order is ready, so that they can come in and they can give us their money. That's the big thing. They want everyone called so that they can get their money as fast as possible. We have weekly goals, and then we have a period goal, which is about a month. I think it's 4 weeks. Sometimes it's 5 weeks in a period. But we have goals, and if at the end of a period, if we're over our budget that we were given, we get a bonus depending on how much over we are. I got a $40 bonus check for last period because we were over a certain amount. I got, I think, 80 cents every hour that I worked, which was nice. It was an extra 40 bucks in my pocket. I don't think we made it this past period, though, because they gave us ridiculously high budgets. Like $5,000 in 1 week for 4 weeks. Like, sometimes we can get really lucky and get a $5,000 week. But that's if customers come in and, do a huge order, then yeah, we can do that. But if it's just a typical week with no big jobs, we don't really usually break 3,000 or 4,000. Like, that's a lot of money going into the copy and print center. So yeah, we take the trash, vacuum, make sure all the customers are called. I clean the counters, stock all the paper that's there. We have to write out the paper so the store doesn't get charged for it, and so on and so forth. I turn off the certain machines, like the folder and the cutter and the laminator and all of that. And I make sure that the copiers are still on, but they're in sleep mode and blah, blah, blah. And then at the end of the night, we all line up by the door, and the manager sets the alarm, and we go home. Those are my 2 jobs. Since I talk to you girls, I'm on my phone. Free time that I get, it's easier to do in copy and print because we can sit behind a computer. And a lot of times I'm working on stuff where I'm waiting for stuff to print, or, there's 2 managers that don't really care. It's whatever. I mean, as long as I don't get in trouble. I mean, if they don't care, then that's fine. I know how certain managers work and how other ones don't, and so on and so forth. Who I can get away with stuff with and others that I can't. you figure that out when you work somewhere for so long. Um, so yeah, from there, where should I go? Those are my two jobs. I don't want to talk about past jobs. That would take way too long. I've been working since I was 15. I worked at a theater at the school where I could work, a couple hours, or I worked a show and I worked, I think, like 20 hours, not even 20 hours, maybe 20 hours in a week. I worked a show when I was 15. Um, so yeah, I've been working for 9 years of my life. I've never been without a job. Maybe 6 months when I went to college. Well, freshman year, I technically didn't have a job. I worked at Bob Evans, the restaurant, at home over my breaks, so I don't know if that counts as technically having a job. But my sophomore year, I worked at Claire's for 6 months, and it was the worst job I've ever had in my life. I hated it there. And then I worked at Staples, and then from there I went to the school, and then I went to school in Staples. So there was about, yeah, unless you count freshman year where I was employed at Bob Evans, but I didn't work there unless it was the holidays. I've been working since I was 15. 9 years of my life. Let's see. What to do now? Let's see. Dream jobs. When I was little, I'll tell you this. When I was little, I couldn't pronounce my STs correctly. So when I was 4, my mom loves to tell this story. I wanted to be a movie frar, not a movie star. From there, I don't remember a lot. Like, as I went through the years, it changed a lot. I wanted to be a teacher for a while, and then, when you're younger, you don't really know. And then, I don't know, I always loved reading and writing. I always loved the creative journals and stuff like that. I don't know, I didn't really have a idea of what I wanted to do. I guess I always thought teaching. And then high school came around and I had film classes. And I loved movies, and I was able to take television classes. And I knew that I wanted to do something with film. Like, I loved movies and, like, the flow of movies, and the idea of working on productions and things like that just excited me. Like, I loved it. Every little bit of film I loved. And from there, I found Columbia. And I came into Columbia as a directing concentration, which, the first year or so, it's basic classes where you kind of figure that out. And then I went to cinematography, which I thought, oh, that would be cool, so I'll like photography, blah, blah, blah. And then I think I took one class for cinematography, and I was like, this is not what I want to do. And it was that was second semester freshman year that I tried cinematography class. And then I had a teacher. It was a development and pre-production class where you learned how to, write your stories and get your stories started and how to move your story along. And we did short films for that class. And it was my end of the year review or end of semester, going over, how we were going to continue on and what our professors really enjoyed about us being in class and stuff like that. I'm petting the cat. Don't think I'm weird over here. Yes, so I sat down. Her name was Julie, and she was really goofy, and I really loved her. She was crazy, but she knew she knew her shit. She knew what she was doing, and you took her advice and you listened to her because she knew it. She knew what she was doing, and she's like, "Oh, so what's your concentration?" And I was like, "Well, I started as directing, and I'm doing cinematography now." And she's like, "Why?" She was really honest, and I loved it. And I was like, I don't know, it just kind of happened. And she's like, I think you should consider screenwriting. She's like, I'm not going to let you be a cinematography major. She's like, I'm going to go in and change it myself if I have to. She's like, you know how story works. You understand character. Your feedback is you understand stories that aren't your own. And she's like, I think that you could really make it as a screenwriter. She's like, you know what you're doing. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, I don't tell that to just everybody. So I changed my concentration to screenwriting because of that meeting, because she had such confidence in me, just one of a beginning class, which is hard to find. So then I took a summer class with a professor that she was friends with named Sue, and Sue was just as crazy. And she loved everything that I did. I don't know if it was just her, because she loved a lot of the stuff the kids did, but um, it was an adaptation class, and our adaptation movie that she used for the summer was Beauty and the Beast, and we had to write a paper on what a movie we thought was adapted from Beauty and the Beast. And I chose Dirty Dancing, the Beauty and the Beast. And I wrote a paper on it, and she's like, I never noticed this before, this is so awesome, and all your points are so true. And she really enjoyed the progress that I made on my story. She gave us, what was it? It was a Smashing Pumpkins song. I forget what it was. And like, she gave us a song. She didn't tell us the title. She didn't tell us the band. She just gave us the lyrics. And she's like, I'm gonna let you figure out how much you want to know about this song before you write your story, because you know how Billy Corrigan would have his own idea and his own, you know, this is what the song means to me. And there were some people that had never heard of it before. Like, I had heard it and I couldn't remember the band at the time. It was kind of, I don't know, it was really cool. It was a cool project, you know, looking at something. And she really liked how I took the lyrics and turned it into my own story. And she gave us a packet of short stories by Dave Eggers, where it's less than 500 words, and it's really simple, and a screenplay that I'm actually the most proud of. I've actually gotten copywritten. It's a short screenplay. It's called Charles, and it came from a Dave Eggers poem called The Boy That They Didn't Take Pictures Of. And it evolved so much. Like, it started out, I don't want to ruin the story. It started out as something completely different, but it had the basic idea. I kind of want you guys to read it. Maybe it's a PDF. I'll just upload it to that website and send it to you guys in chat, because I really want you to read it. I'm really proud of it. And it is copywritten, so I can send it off to people. It's what I was going to use for all the contests that I was going to enter, and then got really sad and really distracted and didn't. So anyway, she really liked my process and how I got places. And as I went through the screenwriting classes through my senior year, there was one professor that just didn't like me, and we didn't get along, and she just didn't understand my stuff. But I was with one of the students was a producer and I was a screenwriter, like the two classes collaborated. And I didn't get along with my producer. He didn't really give me great notes. He's just like, I like this, but I think we should change that. And it was like stuff I didn't agree with, so I just changed it to what he told me to. And they're like, well, we don't like these changes. And I was like, that's what my producer told me to do. So we had one of the heads of the screenwriting department come in and read our scripts. And it was a really kooky, like, it didn't really make sense, and it came from something completely different, like the source material. Like, it wasn't anything I wanted it to be. And he came in and we read our scripts, and he's like, well, I don't know about the story. He's like, it's kind of weird and I don't know if people would get it. He's like, but you definitely know how to write a script, and you know how to take notes from your producer. He's like, that's a good quality to have. Because there's basics and like getting into screenwriting, like stuff that people look for to make it easy for them to read through your script, so that it's not like crazy Tarantino stuff or notes to yourself. Like, there's a basic, like, bare minimum that you need for a screenplay that's good to send out to people, so that it's easy for them to read and it's not too confusing, and it's just like I have that sense and that the idea of what to tell and how to tell it. So coming out of that, even though he's like, I don't like the story, but it's clear that you know what you're doing, like, that was a thing, because it's like, you know, I may not have the best story, but I can listen to a producer and I can change things. And there was another note from another professor. His name was Danny Kravitz, and he was really funny, and I had him for like 4 or 5, maybe 6 of my classes. So we became friends over the course of the time we were together. And he told me once, he's like, what was it? I lost my train of thought. He told me, no, it wasn't Danny. He was great, though. He loved my stuff, and he actually, one of my scripts that I wrote for adaptation 2 was based on songs by Ludo called The Broken Bride. It's about a man who travels through time to save his wife that was killed in a car accident. And I did the script, and I'm really proud of that one too. Anyway, it was John Rangel, who was like the hardest teacher to ever do anything for, because he's like, this is how the real world is. Get your shit together, because you're not going to make it if you can't make it out of this class. And it was horribly hard, but I totally appreciated it. Like, he wasn't mean, but he was tough. You know, like, he made you realize what the real world would be like. And I used my Charles idea, and he's like, so Whitney has this idea, and he explained it to the class, and he's like, and this is genius. And I was like, ah. He's like, this is an example for something where it's a simple story, but it has that a simple twist to it where it still makes sense and it's not so far-fetched. He's like, this is what production companies are looking for to make, because it still gets people's attention, but it's not too confusing for them to understand. It's not Inception. It's not a Tarantino film. Like, it has that twist and that little charm to it. And he used it as an example all through class, and he just really enjoyed it. And we talked with a producing class in that class as well, and they came in and looked at our stuff, and we helped them in that class too. We wrote 2 short scripts, and he told me, he's like, what I like about you is that you're not so attached to your work that you won't change anything. He's like, it's your baby and you love it and it's your story, but you take notes really well. He told me pretty much that I have my story, but if something's not working, someone can tell me that, and I will take that into consideration. And I will change my script, and I will filter through the notes. I will take the good notes and use those, and the other notes that don't really make sense, I kind of push aside. Like, I can filter what will work and what won't work. And that's a big deal. And it kind of pushed me to think that maybe I could do editing scripts, just like take a script that someone likes and take notes from a producer, and then I can, change it because someone else is too afraid to change their baby. Scripts are your babies because you spend so much time on them. Like, I couldn't tell you how long it takes me to write a decent script, or how many versions and drafts and ideas, and I could take you through the process one day maybe. I'm not even a professional and I spend so much time. But editing scripts would be a lot of fun, I feel like, because I do that. Like, I love my stories and I'm connected to my characters, but I'm disconnected enough that it's like, my brother's not like that. He went to school for creative writing, and he has a book series that he started to write. They're not published yet. But I would give him notes, and I was just like, this doesn't make sense here, and what if you change this? And he's like, no, that's how it has to be. No, it's not going to change because I want it to be like that. And I'm like, but it doesn't make sense, or, it could be better this way. And he doesn't take notes very well. Like, what he wrote is how he wants it to be. But when I write, like, if I get a suggestion from someone, like, or if it's a place that I'm having trouble with, I'll take their advice, or I'll try it out and see how it looks, and if I don't like it, I'll change it back. And I think that's a great quality to have as a screenwriter, is being able to take criticism on your own work or suggestions and things like that. So I had a lot of positive reinforcement. My Broken Bride script that Danny read, he wrote notes, and like we did a meeting, and there were like, he had notes like the first like 10-20 pages, and he was like, made notes, and then he just kept flipping through. He's like, oh, I guess I didn't have any notes here. He's like, oh, I really like that part though. And he just kept flipping, and he's like, yeah, so I got really into your script and I didn't take any notes down for a while. And I was like, well, that's a good sign, right? And he's like, yeah. And then it's like, he kept flipping, and it went through like half the script, and like he had little notes here and there, like spelling errors, or little notes on like things that he thinks I could change. And at the end of it, he's like, this is a first draft, but I feel like if you worked on this, you could get a small production company to pick this up, and it would be doable, and it's a story that an independent company would like. He's like, this is something that you should, keep working on and get the word out. And he's like, just send it out to people, which, I'm kind of scared to do. And it's like, I'm at this point where I really want to work on it, my stuff. Like, with school ending and knowing that I'm going home, like, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. There's hope for me. And idea of getting out of Chicago. Like, I always thought I was gonna, like, I don't know, I was just kind of stuck here. Like, this is what I was doing. But now I've gotten myself a way out of here, and I've gotten myself a way to California, hopefully, to get this going. Because I want to be a screenwriter. That's my dream job. And Columbia was fucking expensive. Like, my parents are paying out the ass for that school, and I can't believe that they let me go. But they did, and I owe it to them and to myself to do something with my life with that, because they paid way too much money for me not to get into screenwriting. And I love them so much for that, that they're working so hard, and it makes my heart break because they're doing whatever they can to, try to give me the life that I want, and here I am struggling at 2 jobs that I don't want to end up in, and it's monotonous, and I hate it here in Chicago. Good things have happened, don't get me wrong, and I've had a decent life here, but so many bad things have happened, they overshadow the good. And people are like, oh, you have to look at the bright side. And it's like, yes, but also all this bad stuff happened. And it's like, I try to look on the bright side, I really do, but it's just like, sometimes the good stuff just does not outshine the bad. And in this case, that's been most of my time here in Chicago, as I've much told you. So I see, talking about it just gets me excited about writing, like, I want to do videos and just talk to you about characters and ideas that I have, because I just get so passionate and so excited about writing and characters and these ideas, and I love discussing them. So I think I might want to end up in television writing, because you work at a table, you do table reads, and you can work with characters for so many seasons. And I think collaboration is my most favorite thing about screenwriting, because I loved sitting in class and reading people's pages or sharing my pages, because I don't want to sound conceited, but everyone always seemed to like my stuff, or they could give me notes that helped me, or they were into it, like they were excited about the story and then they wanted to give me notes, because there were some people that, like, their stuff was just so off or so underwritten, or it wasn't written well, and people just weren't into the story and they didn't want to give notes, or they didn't pay attention, or they didn't understand it. So I feel like, going back, my experience at Columbia, even though it's cost my parents, an arm and a leg, and they're going to be paying it until they, as my dad puts it, I'm going to be paying your college loans until I'm pushing daisies. Yeah, he told me that. That kind of got me off my ass to do something about my life as well, because he got on me. He's the only person. Like, I'll do stuff for my brother and for my mom, but he's the only one that, like, when he says something to me, I do it. Like, I was sick once, and it was ended up being strep throat, but I hadn't gone to the doctor for a week, and my mom was telling him, and he got on the phone, he's like, you go to the doctor, I don't care how much it costs, I'll pay for it. And the next day, I was in that doctor's office, and he paid for it, and I got rid of my strep throat. Like, as much as my mom told me, oh, maybe you should go, he had to get on the phone and tell me to go before I would do it. And I love my mom, and I respect her, and I'll talk to her, but if he tells me to do something, I fucking do it, And he told me it was about, it wasn't this past Christmas, it was the Christmas before. I was at home, and I read a whole book in a day. It was a young adult easy read, and he's like, so what are you doing about your screenwriting? And I was like, not much. He's like, you're not working on anything? I was like, no, not really. And he's like, why not? And I was like, oh, I'm tired a lot. And he's like, that's when he told me, I'm going to be paying your college loans until you're pushing daisies. You better figure something out, because I didn't pay all this money for you to go to school to be a teacher's aide at a fucking Catholic school where you don't get paid enough and you hate it. I'm like, I know. And I was like, what, do you want me to just pick up and move to California right now? And he's like, that's not what I said. He's like, but you better get yourself figured out. And I'm like, okay. And that scared me. And then I realized, like, how much they are paying, and how much I owe it to them and to myself to do it, and how much I love it. It's just, I never thought I could be so in love with doing something. So that pushed me, and then I started working on my writing once I got out of my dark place, because that's when I was at my deepest, darkest place. I found you girls, I moved here in with the guys, and I worked on stuff. I applied for that fellowship where I wrote a New Girl script in a couple days, and my brother said it sounded really good. I sent that in. I should hear back sometime in August if I make it to the first round. I know it's a long time, but if I do that, if I win that fellowship, then I'll get paid salary at Nickelodeon. They only choose 3 or 4 people a year. So we'll see, but that would be, I would move in October and they would catch the first month's expenses from there, to get me out there. I'm hoping, I always forget that I did that, but that was this past January and February, and I took the time to do that, and I loved it. I loved writing it. It was so exciting, and it was so much work, but I loved it so much, and oh my god, my video has to be more than a half hour, because oh my gosh. This is so long. I didn't intend for it to be like this. Why can't I make a short video? Yes. So, but Columbia was super expensive, but it made me realize my passion. And I think my experiences there were the best experiences that I could have had to lead me into the career that I wanted to be. It had such an effect on my life, those 4 years that I had there. The writing and the teachers, the professors, like I made so many connections with my professors. Like the screenwriting department there is phenomenal, and I love it. And I'm gonna start writing, and that makes me really excited. Like I'm gonna have time this summer to do writing, because I'm only working one job, and I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna work, and I'm gonna have time to write. And I hope I can workshop with you girls. Maybe we can chat about it, or I can make videos and you guys can give me notes or something. Like, I love criticism about my work, and that's hard to say. I don't feel like a lot of people like criticism about their work, but I do. Like, I like to read what people think about it and what they think could change and what they like and what they didn't, and so on and so forth. And yeah, so my dream job would be to work in the film industry, to do screenwriting or television writing or editing scripts, something with writing but with film. Because I just the idea, since I was young, the idea of my personal idea, or my thought, or my writing, or my characters to come to life and to see it, that has been one of my biggest goals. Like that's my biggest dream, is to see my script, my characters, my idea, my thoughts, my development, everything, myself in this script come to life and see it on the screen, or to see it in a performance on stage or something, just to see it. That's like the most exciting, and like the one thing that I want out of my life is to see that happen. And maybe I will. Yes, I will. I'm going to tell myself that I will. One day it will happen, and I will get a screenplay picked up, or I will be able to write a television series. And I took television classes. I didn't even talk about Mike. Mike I had for like 3 semesters, and he loved my writing, and he always wrote wow or great job, and he only had he's like, I never have to give you many notes because you just get it, and I always give notes in class. And he just loved my stuff, and he was a great professor. He worked on the Cosby Show, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He was black, so he worked on the black shows. That's horrible to say, but he worked on those shows. He did writing, and he knew his shit. He was fantastic, and I took a sketch comedy class with him. I took writing the sitcom with him. I took internet and mobile media. I wrote stuff with him for that. And there was one semester I had him 3 times a week out of the 4 days that I had class. And I regret nothing. He was the best. And we're friends on Facebook. And I've seen him around the city. And he's like, oh, Whitney, let's get in contact with each other. And he took an idea of mine for a reality television show. He liked it so much, he took it with a pitch session. He took it to LA. And he was really excited. He's like, if this gets picked up, which there's a good chance that it might, you'll get an executive producer credit for it. And he's like, and you'll get paid for it, and it was your original idea, and blah blah blah. They didn't pick it up, but he was so excited about it, and just this idea that I had, and he's like, just that someone had that much confidence in me to take an idea that I had that we discussed to LA to try to pitch it to somebody, and then was gonna give me executive producer credit if it did get picked up. That's huge for me, It's like Columbia did a lot for me, and talking about all of this makes me think what the fuck fuck am I doing with my life right now? Why am I working at this school, not getting paid enough, not doing anything with my writing? It's a bullshit job. And I'm working at Staples, which is a half an hour away from my apartment. I don't have any time to write, but talking about all of this makes me just want to sit down and write for 3 days straight. Like, I've lost sight of my passion, and that's the saddest thing to me. That I have to try to survive here instead of chasing my dreams. And I feel like that happens to so many people. And that's the saddest thing in the world for me right now, realizing that I almost gave up on my dreams just to survive in a city that I don't even like. Like, why? Why? Why do I have to do this? And I don't. And so many people keep asking me why I'm leaving, or they're trying to give me options to stay. And I'm like, no. I'm getting the fuck out of here, and I'm gonna chase my dreams. And I want everyone else to. I want everyone to be happy. I want you guys to chase your dreams, and I want you to get everything that you've ever wanted. And I think I needed this video to talk about it, because I haven't talked to anybody about my feelings on this or anything in such a long time. Not since Priscilla, before she left on me. So 2.5 years I haven't talked about it with anyone. And I needed this. I did. That's my dream job. That's me talking about getting to my dream job, and you girls are going to be around with me through the process of all of this, and we'll see what happens to little old Whitney from a little old small town in Indiana, and see what happens. I'm a small town girl with big dreams, I guess. So, fuck. I did so well. See, when I'm going and I'm passionate about something, you can't stop me. Fuck. Alright, I'm glad we did this video this way. So, I think Sam's next tomorrow. I'm excited, because Sam and I both do extremely long videos. And I don't even stop. I don't even pause. I just keep going. I just talk. This is what I do. I just keep going from thought to thought to thought. I don't even stop to think about it. So there's no editing in this thing. Except for that time that my roommate came home, and I was like, this is awkward. So I had to close my door, and I cut that little bit out. Yeah. So I'm excited to hear about your guys' dream jobs and what you're passionate about, and your current job as well. We're all still young. We have some time, so we'll get it figured out. I have hope for us. Right? I love you guys, and I will talk to you all soon.